Welcome to the Harvesting Wisdom podcast. Together we explore the vast landscapes of life, delving into the rich soil of experiences, sowing the seeds of curiosity, and harvesting the profound wisdom that each episode unfolds. Hello, welcome to another podcast of Harvesting Wisdom. I'm your host, Mike McMahon. Today I've got two guys from Greenworks, a company that we partner with. We believe in what they do, and I've spent a chunk of money so far, and we continue now to transition all of our lawn equipment to battery operated. So far it's going pretty good. I got to check with Scott. You guys keep in touch with Scott to make sure we're catching metrics. Yeah. But the reason I think it's good is because I think in the long run it's going to save me money. Right? I'm a landscaper. It's not. We're not doing it to save the world, but a side effect or a second reason is the fact that it is quiet. I don't have to change oil. I cut labor on mechanics. One of those costs that I hate anyway is to pay for mechanics, and right now clients love it. So it's so far. We'll see how it is and keep everybody posted. But we're commercial, pretty good scale. I've been doing it for longer than anybody else, and if it ends up working for me, then I know that it's the transition for what we're doing. And you know, we did podcasts with Yin before. He is quite an innovative genius. You know, he's got so many patents, and I will convert him to helping build some farm equipment, some basic farm equipment to electric. He doesn't. Well, I've told him about that.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, so because I think there's a strong need for it in a lot of sectors. But anyway, welcome to the show.
Thanks.
With me also is Joe. Dr. Roselle is the co-host today. So Joe, talk us. Oh, by the way, we are here at the Mix Theater
live
at ASU live, and we're right in the middle of films that are being played, international films, some big premieres, and some student films. And there's a downstairs theater and an upstairs theater that are both full with people right now. And as a matter of fact, you guys put a documentary in, and anyway, I'll let Joe talk to you about that a little.
Yeah, you know, it's exciting because we partner with a lot of companies, but there are some that do lip service, and you guys put your actions, you know, what you believe in. And we talked to you about some storytelling and about making a documentary, and I'll never forget the email. You just said, hey, I'm coming. We're coming this weekend. Can you get some kids together? So we brought you out to the GCU garden, which I think it's impressive because you actually care about how the product's being used and what the relationship is between you and your partners. So talk to me about the process of why you think the documentary was so important and how you're going to use it to tell your story.
Well, when we came out a couple months ago and met with you, the first time I'd met you, and I remember leaving here thinking, I liked you a lot, because one of the first things you said to me was...
Nobody says that.
Well, one of the things you said to me was, I can't remember exactly, it was something along the lines of, don't sell me, tell me the problem, present the solution, and keep the sales crap out of it, and just tell the story and make it less salesy.
Talk about your brand.
Exactly. And so I felt like that's what we did. And actually, when I was thinking about it today, we actually didn't really talk a lot about our brand. You see us in the thing, but it's really not about us. It's just about the conversion in the battery. And so I love what I do. I never thought I would love filming lawnmowers, but it's fun. And so it's been interesting to see what it is we're able to do and watch towns and then complete municipalities and colleges and universities completely change and convert and to see the environmental stuff that I didn't even know about that existed before I started doing this.
Yeah, and honestly, that's a good point because you're not just filming lawnmowers. You're really telling a story of a product that's going to change the world for good. And that's the big overall thing. And I can tell you believe it. So the business side's great, but you're here because your product makes a huge difference, and it makes our environment better. So you did submit a film for the film festival, and this is our inaugural year. We weren't sure what we were going to see, but we have over 200 and 30 films from 50 different countries. That alone makes it a competitive field. And then we had 10 features, 10 films from the Robert Redford Center, the gold standard of films. I was able to call you and let you know that you're a finalist. Now, we joked around about it, and we're like, wink, wink, you're going to win. And just so everyone out there knows, we gave it to the committee, which I was not on. And then even when we voted, because you guys voted for some of the finalists, but you weren't allowed to vote for your own category. Right. So totally blind, we weren't involved, and I'm pleased to say you beat out the competition and you won. Can you believe it?
Are you serious?
You won. You won.
Wow.
So that to me shows that you believe in your product, you believe in your story. There's great pride in it, and you put out a great product. Not only the Greenworks product, but the film. It was just such a thrill to see. And
I haven't seen the film yet. I'm gonna hopefully. I think it's playing at some point, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully it's because this is. It's an environmental film festival, but the environment means something different to everyone, right?
Yeah.
If you're, depends on your politics, it depends on all kinds of different things. For me, the environment is soil. Primarily that's what I'm looking at, and it's waste and how we're using or reusing waste. So, and there's complications with pollution in there and all this and this global warming and stuff. But really, it's all about soil conservation for me. But you're in a film festival, so it's not about necessarily the content. You're not winning based on the content,
right?
But what Yin is doing or
exactly
stuff. It's based on the quality of the filmmaking. And you guys work for a friggin' lawnmower company, and you just won one of the categories against real filmmakers.
That's
a pretty cool thing.
That's wild.
Well,
thanks.
Just one more thing too. You took 3 years to make this film, right?
Yeah, this is all footage that we've been shooting for the last 3 years.
Well, no, I'm being sarcastic. You busted this film out in how many months?
Oh, it was
short time.
Yes.
But we were taking content. Most documentaries, you need content to go years, and you had
we had that.
It's interesting, but Joe and you were just talking about, and you were saying, well, I never thought I'd like a job with the lawnmower. One thing that I had a client, because I used to do extremely high-end landscape residential, where the softscapes were over $1 million back 30 years ago on homes. I've done some of the Saudi family. I've done one of the son of the prime minister for France. I've done different houses that are like not houses, right? Hotels. And one of my clients was, I think he owned an insurance company worth, closer to $1 billion than a few $100 million, right? And I started talking to him. I had a master's and a bachelor's degree in engineering and architecture, and the last thing I wanted to be was a landscaper. Although I had this, it always kept pulling me back. I like working with dirt, right, or dirt to soil. But the guy, heard what I was saying, and he said, "Let me tell you something. It doesn't matter what you do; it's how you do it." So when you're in any industry, and there's books out there like Fish that talk about, people who work in jobs that nobody thinks are sexy or glamorous, and they're making more money or doing better because they're doing, we see this show Dirty Jobs on TV and stuff. And so it really is about how you do what you do, not what you do. So that's a big thing. But you guys, not only how you're doing what you're doing, you guys are literally revolutionizing, the battery systems. And batteries aren't going to, they say, exponentially change, but they will continue to gradually change. The more charge we can have, the way they're recycled, all of those things, as the future goes on, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. And that's I think the real lesson with our innovations rarely come from the government. But except for, governments get us into war, and then private individuals and industries come up with all kinds of things that we can later use. The space age came up with a lot of, where else would have we gotten Tang?
Yeah.
So the idea is that you guys are in that innovative space, which is really where we are in the world right now with AI and all these other things. we're looking for innovations. In the innovation of a cell phone is what drove the last 20 years of prosperity, right? So that's part of the deal. But the fact that you won the film, that's great.
Well, thanks. It means a lot. Like, this is a huge honor. I appreciate it. It's almost surreal because it's like I'm still processing of like, how in the hell did we win this thing? But it's awesome.
We'll put a link up.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
With a link to your movie,
Yeah,
I think, right?
Absolutely.
Sure.
So tell me about the movie because I didn't see it, and how the hell you make a movie about a lawnmower?
Well, I mean, it was a lot.
Not saying it's about that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot about the stuff that we talked about with you. I mean, we open it up and we talk about something that I didn't even realize, and you have a good stat for this too, is the amount of pollution that two-cycle engines and gas landscaping equipment presents to the environment. And he's got a stat that he can share with you in a second. But what was interesting to me over the last 3 years is when we traveled around the country, and we talked about this yesterday in the Q&A over at the theater, is that one of the things that I cannot let go of that bothered me so much was when I was up in DC, we were filming one of the commercial guys that owns a business up there, and there's a gas ban a ban on gas blowers. And so no landscaper in that area can buy or sell gas blowers. So it really helped us from a sales perspective, from a business side of it. We were selling the hell out of these, our BB361s and different blowers. But as I'm driving around DC, every time I passed a government building, it was a
gas blower.
It was a gas blower. And I'm like, what in the hell's going on? Because some of these landscapers were not happy about it. They felt like they were being pressured into buying electric.
Right.
And it was also coming out of the pandemic. And so there was a lot of supply issues, which that also helped us from a standpoint of being able to get stuff in their hands. But it bothers me when I see, those are the kind of stories that bother me, is when we're doing something like this and we're covering a story about a gas ban that the government's putting in place, but then they're allowing gas equipment on their properties.
So when we podcasted with the president, the innovator himself, is that Yin? Or
Yin.
Yin, yeah. I always get that wrong.
The mad scientist.
The mad scientist.
What he talked to me about, and I think where we kind of resonated, I remember you guys, we locked the door inside of a trailer.
Yeah.
Remember?
It was in Valencia.
You guys were banging on the door. And we were ignoring you guys. Yeah, we took him away from the grand opening, and a podcast that we were going to take half hour with was like an hour, 20 minutes or something.
Yeah.
Right? But he was talking about what he visualized was the Optimus crew, right?
Yeah.
And he talked about that, and I talked about what I had to do to make this thing work. And I knew the problem. If you have a one-off gas blower, your crews are going to forget to charge it the night before. If you have a one-off gas blower, you got one more machine people don't know how to use or whatever. So it's a lot like regenerative farming. You know, you don't put your toe in the water, you have to commit, right? And so we have trailers, and we do solar, so we put solar on the trailer. I have to see how much the solar is regenerating. I think it's probably capturing, especially over a weekend, most of the energy. But again, that's an electrician's tweak to see what we're doing. But the bottom line is, in there we have the cube.
Yeah.
And the idea of spending $20,000 on a charging cube wasn't something I liked. But all the equipment, so people ask me, I just was talking to somebody yesterday, and they're like, yeah, but the thing's not going to last that long. And I said, well, that's why we have 2 or 3 of them in the truck, or battery backups in the truck, in the trailer. So we never, and on top of it, one of the things that bothers me about me, I'm a construction guy, even though I have a big maintenance company. But I come from construction, right? And construction guys are different than maintenance guys. Maintenance guys, they push lawnmowers. They don't know anything about landscaping. I hate to say that. Even my own guys. And they're all prima donnas. They come into the office and then they drive every day. It's like, can't you just drive to the damn job site? So the deal is we kill an hour in each direction driving to job sites, right? And you think that would make them more organized? No. They don't. And here's a perfect example. I have 2 pickup trucks. My mechanics came up to me, and we have a system. We just changed you've seen our systems. We're system oriented, right? I had a truck that had its oil changed in 2 years. I had another one that made it almost a year, and I was livid. I was like, somebody's getting fired over this. And I talked to the head of maintenance, and I said, Scott, it should be you, but you're harder to replace. But I just want to let you know, you need to let go of somebody who's not as important if that's what you want to do. But it pisses me off what they did.
Yeah.
But we revamped our system to take care of it. But you don't have that problem with 2-cycle engines. No mechanic wants to work on it. It's not sexy, right?
Right.
So they give it to somebody else to do, and they're the first things to go bad. You know, I burn out an engine on a lawnmower. It cost me $10,000. Right? Maybe not that much, but that's the component of the lawnmower that costs money. So it does irritate me, and the 2-cycle engine stuff is a big problem. So we've got a lot of electric trucks and a lot of electric cars, but we're not moving in that direction fast enough in my mind.
Yeah.
But that's the setup when it comes to what you're doing. So what you're doing is important, but how you do it. So the average landscaper, if he wants to buy 1 or 2 trucks or one or two lawnmowers or weed eaters, you know, that part I'm not advocating, because somebody's going to forget to charge it at night. There's no place to keep it. They're going to plug it in outside in the rainstorm or something's going to go wrong. So we did it all the way. So we have crews, and we have job sites now that we have, you know, containers, or we have offices on the job where we have the charging right there. And that to me is a big part of how it works.
I just hope at some point down the road that we're able to get to a point to where the volunteer fireman that does it on the weekends is going to be able to afford it, because that's the biggest problem. I'm glad to see municipalities like Carrollton, Texas, you and Hans Landscape in California, and the gas man. Like I'm hoping that we can get to a point, because like you said, the Energy Cube's not cheap. It would be great, and I don't know if Edwin knows anything else about it, but down the road, I would love to see us be able to create more affordable solutions.
We were at cul-de-sac today, and one of the things I'd say by going through this process, as I walk through Grand Canyon University campus, I'm looking at the campus differently. I'm actually even saying, oh, a robot would be good there. This tool product would be good there. So when you think of a college campus, or even walking up to the mix, I know that you look at the campus differently and how electricity can apply. So what are some of the typical applications of a campus or a municipality area would you say this is a good spot? This is a sweet spot for our stuff.
Yeah, biggest thing I believe would be like on the robotic side, right? Schools, campuses, you know, you got your quad areas. Normally when you bring in a gas mower, it's loud, classes in session. Sometimes the teachers or the professor will come out and say, hey, you guys got to take it down, or please do it later on because I have a test going on or something like that. But what we're seeing right now when it comes to the marketplace, the fact that battery operated equipment, it's a lot quieter, and that is able to, you know, get people to go out and actually, you know, mow the lawn while classes in session. And yes, absolutely, when, you know, walking the cul-de-sac, I noticed the park where the kids hang out, where the little jungle gym is at and stuff. That first thing I was looking at is like, oh, there's a light pole here. You can grab power from the bottom of it, set up a robot there. There's enough open area where RTK antenna will be able to connect to the satellite, and that area can be maintained on its own.
But you said, I think it was you, or maybe it was you, said, you know what? Our robots don't complain. They work at night. They work on the weekends. They mow
in the rain.
They mow in the rain. So
robots are a big part of the next 10 years for everybody.
Yeah.
But for me, what you just brought up is what a landscape owner is a little afraid of, right? We're afraid, how do we charge it? How do I know my calculations? So you guys have been pretty good about coming back and forth as we, you know, I had an electrician run a wire out to where we needed to put it, and they didn't run the right wire, and we figured that out. And then, you know, but there is one little screwy thing. The way we had it set up is the reset button was like, okay, that's not in the greatest place, guys.
Right,
you know, nobody even saw it. It was like underneath or
so
something.
It's a learning experience.
It is a little
on that
bit,
point, right? And
but you've been in so many situations now that you can go in and you can, okay, I'm going to tell you how you do this, right? And that's important.
It's real world scenarios, and that is what's, you know, being forward thinking. Once you've been there, you learn that lesson, right? We always hear about those things in life as lesson learned, right? So we've learned about that, and now we're moving forward. Now, next generation of it,
right?
It's in a different area when it comes to the switches, but overall, just, you know, equipment. When it comes to charging, now what we're doing is we're thinking about the infrastructure. What can we do as a company to help landscape companies who a lot of times the yards, they're not owned by the landscape company, they're leased. They don't want to invest money to bring in extra power into it.
Yeah.
So what can we do as a company? So one of the solutions was the energy cube, right? Which, it works for certain areas. You got to have a trailer. This Phoenix metro area, a lot of landscapers use trailers.
Right.
In other areas, being from Los Angeles, because of traffic, they try to avoid trailers as much as possible, right? To be able to get, as you mentioned earlier, from job site to job site, or that travel time, to make it less. That we could get on a diamond lane.
Right. So we're looking at mini trailers on some of the stuff we're doing as well going forward, because we don't always have to have a crew with 2 or 3 ride-ons and all this equipment. And by the way, the reason I was talking about maintenance guys always come from the yard. They don't go straight to their job site quite a bit, even though we have big job sites. Some have yards on it, and I still have to pull teeth in. But the problem I got with it is they kill an hour each day, which is either cheating me or cheating the client, and I don't particularly like it. But that's kind of the reality. The other reality is the guys get off the tractor, they have snacks, they have lunch, they go to the bathroom. Some days you're not cutting. So we really haven't had a problem where the energy has been dissipated enough in a day that I needed the second or the backup batteries, right? Because, and I'd like to get to the point where the guys get on the job and actually work for 8 straight hours. That's my goal. That's how I get efficiency. But that's a different problem for landscapers.
Yeah.
But the idea is that, and I talked about this before with you guys. You're sales guys working for a company.
Yep.
You're going to say whatever you want to say, right? What we in the industry have to see is what other people are doing. Who are the leaders in the industry and why are they using it? And understanding, like doing a documentary, these podcasts like this, they do understand now from a landscaper. They're listening to all the things they got a problem with as well, and then they can make their own decision. And it's just a transition. It's not, we're talking about something in 5 years that you'll forget that we even had this conversation.
Absolutely, and in the video that Todd created, there's 3 different landscapers, and all of them talked about the same thing: the infrastructure. Equipment will do what it needs to do, but it was just the whole infrastructure.
Well, it's also the cost, right?
Yeah.
Correct. And one of the gentlemen there, Greg Epstein from Enhance, said, as long as you figure out the infrastructure, then it's off to the races.
Right.
Yeah.
At that point, because you solved that last equation, because the equipment is now working or doing what it needs to do. When it comes to battery, as you mentioned earlier, battery is changing. It's changing in a positive way. Batteries are getting lighter, which is better for the guys out in the field and the gals. But also, being lighter, being smaller, just being more efficient as well, right? And batteries just creating a lot more of being more well received in the marketplace.
And they're not dangerous like we all thought they'd be. I've been in a Tesla for 15 years. I've never had a blow up or anything like that.
I mean, coming from the gas world, I would tell you that when I worked at a dealership, we would see a lot of gas-powered equipment come in, burned up.
Oh, yeah.
And you still see a lot of that happening today.
Well, the guys don't change the oil. In a 2-cycle engine, not changing the oil for a year or two is...
Two-stroke oil, the way that they ran it, you got the fuel lines are cracked, ignition modules are sparking out, you got fumes. OSHA regulations, if you're pumping gas, you got to do it away from a certain area.
Just one of those rules everybody breaks, right?
Yeah, if you're going to turn it on, don't turn it on where you just filled up, because there's fumes around in the air still.
So what do you guys see, though, as the future? When we talk future nowadays, we're not saying, in 10, 20 years. We're talking in the next 2 years. That's the future. What are you seeing? And I'll tell you what I think is the deal. But tell me your...
I think it's the robotic mowers.
Yeah.
I really do. I think it's because there was a guy that we interviewed in Texas at CLC Landscape, and I can't remember his name, but he was anxious for the robotic mowers to come out because from a business perspective,
Oh, there's
he was
nothing
like,
we love more than firing guys and reducing our labor.
that's exactly
that's the name of the
that's
game.
exactly. So what his business model idea was, as soon as they're out, I'm going to buy them, I'm going to lease them out to my clients, set them up, and I'm going to have one guy go by every week and weed eat and blow, and the mower's going to do everything else.
You know, we have a drone out in the soil company. We have a facility, and it's hundreds of acres.
Yeah.
And we have the ability. There's a drone box that can automate, and it can pop open, and the drone can go fly, and we can see in real time. Did the guys show up for work? Are they doing what they're supposed to do? That kind of thing. So it's a form of robotics, right? And this is what you're talking about.
So I think it's the robotic mowers, but also there was that you said something about infrastructure made me think about this. I was watching Gary Vaynerchuk the other day on his social media platform, and he was talking about one of the best jobs you could get into right now is being an electrician because of the amount of infrastructure that this country is going to need for AI. And so if the infrastructure is going to get built for AI, that would hopefully help us from a standpoint of the robotic mowers as well.
Well, so what do you see in the future? Same thing or something different?
No, absolutely same thing. Right now, our biggest ask in the marketplace is autonomous equipment. Robotic is going to be part of that, but robotic is going to work more for like areas like here on campus where everything's more in-house.
Right.
But autonomous mowing, where you could unload it from a trailer, set it up, it goes out and cuts the grass. Instead of having an employee on a mower just doing lines back and forth, that same employee could be out doing the maintenance cleanups.
Yeah, and that's
trimming.
It's freaky to watch. It's the same mower you have right now. You can make that mower autonomous.
Yeah, you just build the perimeter.
It does what the robotic mower does while he's weed eating, and you got one guy.
And I can finally get the double cut.
Yes.
My guys, I tell them, this is our brand. We double cut. They never double cut.
All he has to do is when he shows up, he runs the mower around the perimeter of the yard and maps it out in real time, and then jumps off of it, hits the button, and it continues to mow.
Okay, so I see it's something a little bit different because we talk infrastructure, right? So I think ultimately, especially in remote areas, or if and when Yin gets into farm equipment, or places like in Africa where there's no electricity to begin with, because electric and understanding the electric is one of the things that people shy away from. How much is my electric bill going to be? Am I going to have a problem? Can I afford to change the electric out on stuff? And I've done it to my trucks, and it can be pretty expensive when I have to put electric in everybody's house because I can't just have it at the office, right? So I see the use of solar, and we have a small solar company where we have modulars, solar arrays that are 12, 24, and 48. Currently, it takes a lot of juice to charge that up, and we're supplementing, but we're not completely doing it. But I see having these solar mobile units like we have right now, where you can take them, you can put them, semi-permanently on the property if you want, but you can also, they're fairly lightweight and easy to deconstruct. So I see the idea that you can charge this stuff at any place on the planet. So when you have the ability to charge using the sun, and you have the calculations, hey, it might be every other day that you use this equipment. You can't use it every day. Or for the lawnmowers with bigger batteries, it might take 2 days, and then the rest of the stuff can charge in 1 day. But knowing those formulas, some things that we just haven't done yet, I think is going to make the big difference. That's my personal thing of how this is all going to work, especially when it comes to some of the newer farm equipment, pumps, things like that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be done talking. The hook has come out a few minutes ago. I just want to ask Joe, what was the process in, how many films did these guys go against in their I don't even know the category, and what panel did you have to go through, and what was the criteria?
Before we do that, the exciting part after today when you push your film out, you're going to be able to use the laurels just like in all the other film festivals and say Skyfire winner. Which is
that's pretty cool. I was thinking about that just a minute ago.
So you've earned your laurels, but it was competitive. You had at least 20 other films in your category, and what we were amazed with, because you hear, well, you're going against a 10-year-old or a high school or a film student, they were great. Mm-hmm. So you had stiff competition. The process was, we have a 50-person film committee, and we had a subgroup of 10, and they watched all the movies. So there was a rubric that was used. You were a finalist. And after that, we pushed it out to the sponsors. We want to give our sponsors, you were one of the sponsors, the opportunity to provide that feedback as well too.
Awesome.
So it was very competitive. We used the same judging strategy that Sundance or the other film festivals do. So yeah, you should be very proud.
Yeah, I am. I think I might keep doing this then.
Excellent. Excellent. So next time it's the Oscars, right?
Yeah, sure.
Well, guys, we're gonna go see some movies.
Yeah,
we're on a bunch of panelist discussions.
Thanks for your time.
I gotta teach a
class.
Podcast class. I don't know what time that was.
We're gonna enjoy seeing you do your Price is Right imitation when you come on.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, enjoy
Appreciate
the rest of the festival.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Thanks.
Thank you for joining the Harvesting Wisdom podcast. Click subscribe and like for ongoing insightful conversations. Explore our webpage for show notes and additional resources. Visit our guests' webpage for deeper insights. Your engagement is the foundation of our journey, and until next time, keep pursuing wisdom.